Hi everyone, this is Dr. Mike, host of the free iTunes podcast, Psychiatric Secrets Revealed with Dr. Mike, but that's not why I'm here today. This is another Saving Savvy episode. This time we're going to look at, are we really in a post-PC era? Now this of course is my personal opinion. I'm not an expert, I'm just a geek, and your opinion may vary. I'd love to hear your opinion if you have one, same or different. But we're being told constantly that that is the case. Certainly Tim Cook, the CEO of Apple, said that statement over and over again in his recent keynote. Digital media people like Kim Commando, the self-proclaimed digital goddess, says that these iOS devices are no longer items of just consumption, but of creation. And even my 14-year-old daughter, who's had an iPad 2 now for about roughly a year, has told me how great the new applications are in the iPad and how they really do have some business functionality. So of course, when the new iPad or the iPad 3 came out, I did get one, and as you probably saw if you did watch my other video on the iPad, I think it's an absolutely awesome device. I totally love it. I think it's just brilliant in its design, but can it take the place of a business type computer? Now, I travel pretty much weekly. I go to a site, work all day, stay at a hotel, go to another site, and then come home. And I do need a laptop. But my needs are pretty simple. I use office type documents. I create small memos and letters, not very complicated. I do simple spreadsheets, and I need to be able to show presentations and maybe do a little editing of presentations. And so I need like an office suite. I also need to have the ability to access the web, not only for information pertaining to what I do in life, but also just for weather and news and that sort of thing. I need to be able to stream audio from radio station websites because I like listening to NPR and just a lot of different radio stations. And I might need to do some simple things like photo editing, just very simple photo editing, or maybe even a little video recording. Very simple stuff. In fact, for many years I used a netbook without any difficulty. When I bought a MacBook Air in late 2010, I switched to that. Why did I have to switch? Because I'm a geek and because it was a much better computer, and I absolutely love my MacBook Air. But now that I have this little gadget, this new iPad, could this take the place of even my MacBook Air? And it would offer some advantages. It actually is smaller than my MacBook Air. It has better battery life than my MacBook Air, which would mean that I wouldn't even have to bring a charger along. And it has built-in 4G. Currently, the sites that I use, I have to bring a little MiFi card because I don't necessarily have the ability to access their internet. And so I have a MiFi card. That would be one less thing to bring. It's all built in here. Well, sounds like a great idea. Everyone's telling me that we're in a post-PC era. I have simple business needs. Does it work? Not quite yet. So let me give you the 6 reasons why I think that we're really not in a post-PC era just quite yet. The first one is this, and I'm going to use mostly the iOS devices here. We're going to talk about those. Although I have used an Android phone for years now, and I'm very comfortable with Android devices too. I'm going to talk about this device because this is the one that's really pushing the post-PC era sort of comment. Reason 1, no flash. Now this is much less of a deal now than it was when the first iPad was introduced a few years back, because many sites have accommodated the lack of flash in the iPad and in the iPhone, and they use other methods to stream or to let you watch video or that sort of thing. It may be a problem on certain sites. So I use a site called Simply Noise or Simple Noise, which just generates white noise when you want to sleep at night. That's totally flash. That won't work on here. I'm sure some gaming sites will not work on here. Maybe some older hotel reservation sites would not work on here. But that's all changing, and I would anticipate as years go by it will become less and less of an issue. What about the virtual keyboard on this computer? It has a great virtual keyboard, as virtual keyboards go, and in fact I think Apple really made the keyboard usable. I used many devices in the past where I had a stylus and I would have to poke at everything and it was pretty awkward. With this keyboard, certainly if you're a hunt and pecker, I think it would work just fine, but I happen to be a touch typist. My mother made me take touch typing in high school in 2000 BC. I was resentful at the time and now I'm grateful because I can type pretty quickly. But on a keyboard that does not have any dimension to it, it's very easy to slide off. So for someone like me, the virtual keyboard is a no-go. And again, I'm talking about not bringing an external keyboard. If I'm going to bring an external keyboard, I might as well just bring my laptop. So it kind of is a no-go for me. How about traditional connectivity, especially USB ports? I still use them. I do sneakernet a lot, where I'll take files from work and I'll bring them with me and I can easily access them on my PC or on my little laptop, or I'll take a document and bring it to someone else's printer or computer to print, that sort of thing. There are workarounds for that too, but they're really not as simple or elegant as just a USB drive. I have discovered a program called SugarSync, which will allow me to sync in the cloud my main work PC with the cloud, and then I can sync it with here. It doesn't have a good search function though, so it's very awkward if you have hundreds of documents and you're scrolling through page after page after page. It's workable, but not nearly as nice or as simple as just using a good old flash drive. Workable. Well, now we're entering into some areas where it's less workable. Printing function. These devices have never really been designed to print well. Now with iOS 5, we got AirPrint, but you have to have a printer that supports AirPrint, and certainly those are few and far between. If you're just printing at home and you buy an AirPrint printer, no problem. But I don't have them at any of the places where I go work, and you really can't print very easily if you don't have an AirPrint printer. You have to email the document or do some other sorts of bizarre actions. So there are third-party utilities that will allow you to print to a regular printer, but guess what? You cannot locate Pages documents, you cannot locate Numbers documents, you cannot locate Keynote documents with those setups because they're so well protected by Apple. I have no idea why, but they are. So you have to either go to the cloud or email them, and just not very convenient compared to a laptop. Another major drawback with an iPad is the inability to attach multiple documents in an email. In fact, from their email client, there is no attach function. And if you go to third-party apps like a Gmail app, there's no ability to attach a document, even though you can easily do that with the Android version. If you go to the web client of, let's say, Gmail, you can't attach on an iPad, although you could do that certainly from your PC or something like that. So there's no way to easily attach multiple documents. The only way that you can attach multiple documents, especially with iWork, is to go actually in the application itself. And even then it's not multiple. So if I needed to send 2 Pages documents and a presentation document from Keynote, I literally would have to go into Pages and email the first document, then in a separate email do the second document, then close out Pages and go into Keynote and email the third document. That is the only way that I know of doing that, which is certainly very, very inconvenient for the business user. And that's kind of a big deal breaker. And the biggest deal breaker is the fact that there is no accessible, easy file type function. So if you're on a PC, you have Explorer. You can create folders, subfolders, search for things, in folders, do all sorts of fancy stuff. If you're in Mac, you have Finder, does similar sorts of actions. Even Android has programs where you can look at your folder structure. But there is no such way to do that in an iOS device. You have Spotlight, but Spotlight in here, if I type, for instance, documents, or if I type Pages, I'm not going to get Pages documents. I'm just going to get Pages, the program, and maybe Wikipedia on Pages or something. So it's very, very restricted. and third-party apps really don't answer that issue either. So that is a major roadblock for a lot of folks like me who are very used to using systems where we have folders and subfolders. I might have, maybe I'm constructing a presentation, and I might have a folder that has the presentation document in there that I'm building on. I might have a bunch of graphics that I may or may not use, or maybe audio clips or video clips that I may or may not use, all in one nice little package. I can move that from computer to computer. I can delete it when I'm done or store it someplace. Guess what? Can't do that with an iOS device. So a major, major drawback. And I doubt that anyone from Apple would be listening to me, but if someone ever watches this video, please correct it. I don't know who came up with the idea that we don't need a good way of examining our files and sending multiple attachments, but we do. So if you want this to really become a mainstream post-PC device, that's what you're going to have to do, or come up with some method that is not currently in your current iPad. Now, with that said, I absolutely love my iPad, my new iPad. I think it's great. I'm glad I have it. I use it all the time. It's great fun, but it's not going to replace my laptop in business. So with that, I'd say thank you so much for watching. If you get some time, please give my please give my free podcast a listen. It's called Psychiatric Secrets Revealed with Dr. Mike. Free on iTunes and in other places. It's an audio format. We talk about a lot of mental health issues, a lot of mental wellness issues, just wellness in general, and I think you might find it interesting. Other than that, have a great day.